A busy programme. We're live across the country on RTE.
The votes are being counted right across the country.
To our coverage of the results of election 2020.
Support among young people and anger at a housing crisis that is priced many.
An interesting first-timer.
But first of all, we want to bring you some of the counts that have been coming in. I think we can take a look first of all.
I decided to put my money where my mouth was and go for it myself. And it was a big leap of faith.
I guess instead of shouting about it, on the sidelines, I decided I'd join a political party and see if, we can make change locally in the Midlands.
I've never been political. I grew up being involved in my community and didn't know it.
Yeah, and it's such a pity that somebody doesn't do something, or, and then I was kind of like, oh, well, if I don't do it, well, who will do it?
And you can make a change if you would like to get involved. I'm community-based and it's about getting work done on the ground. And when I spoke to them and they said that, look, you can have an impact here, you have been involved, you have, the network there of people to work, and you can make a change if you would like to get involved.
This is where County Council meets monthly. The structure of the County Council, we have our CE, Chief Executive. Underneath him then we have 4 Director of Services, and then we have all the corporate and admin staff and outsourced staff. There's roughly about 600 people working within the organisation in Westmeath County Council. And then from an elected member point of view, there's 20 elected members here who sit around the tables here, around the room here to this, 20 elected members. So that's divided up then. There's 11 elected members in the Mullingar-Kinnegad district, and there's 9 elected members in the Athlone-Moat district.
I saw there were so many things going wrong, so many things that I would change if I was, somehow elected. And so, it was a case of, right, well, I need to, rather than just kind of talking the talk, I need to try at least to walk the walk. So I decided 2 months before the actual election that I might go for it.
Everybody was saying, Louise, your name is coming up, I can see you on the tickets, and then physically when you're looking at ballots that have a number 1 beside your name, it's unbelievable, somebody physically went in there and put a 1, and not only somebody, 300, 400 people did it. It's unbelievable.
The year that I did decide to run for election, I had 120 kids that were sitting CSP as an exam subject. And how could I be telling them, that they needed to make a difference and that they could make a difference, and that I wasn't going to nearly show them that they didn't have that role model, or even just awareness, making people aware and trying to get a connection. And I suppose that's where I felt I was very strong. I had that local knowledge, I had that background of people, and I could be that link and that connection maybe, or that people would think that I was quite approachable and say, oh, well, you are involved, or they'd see me at football training, or they'd see me at wherever it was around the town, and that they could actually come and say, oh, can you help me with this? Because they always were.
Driving into our yard, I was milking, and he says, are you going to do a bit of canvassing? I was after buying a new finger bar mower for the tractor. And my mother kept at me, you better make a few shillings to pay for that, of course, after getting the loan from the SEC to buy it. The day of the count came, and my mother said, you better get on that tractor and make a lot of money. And I went off mowing meadows for the whole day of the count until about 5:30 that evening. And the next thing, Charlie Fagan drives in, you better come into Mullingar, it looks as if you'll be elected. And that was the start of my journey in political life.
There were very few other people like me there. And that was always another reason why I wanted to get involved in politics, because I didn't see very many people that I could identify with as a young woman. And I walked in to find out that I had been elected, and it was amazing. It was honestly one of the proudest moments of my life, because it was such a shock, and I was so humbled by it, because to think that many people put their faith or their hope in me, that I could represent them and do a good job on their behalf, was, as I say, really humbling and a huge privilege. So I never take that for granted since I've been elected.
more recently, or in the last 3-4 years, I set up an initiative called the Junior Mayor Initiative for schools, and that's working really, really well. And the whole concept of this is that you encourage young people to have a say, to have their voice.
Hi, I'm Aoife Carroll. I'm Junior Mayor at Athlone Community College. I have a huge interest in women in politics. I do believe everyone should be equal and everyone should have a voice.
We are all from different backgrounds, from different cultures, put our views and points together and make something really great.
You can see in the middle of any of our high streets how derelict the main street is, and me being an architect and interested in heritage buildings, I felt that there's a lot that I could, that I wanted to see changed, and I hope that people who have, like women or people from different backgrounds who don't see themselves represented here, know from my story that, you can go for it and people will support you. That's the big thing,
So I remember going to my mum and saying, and she just said to me, Emily, no regrets. And that was the mantra. I said, look, fuck it, go try it, see how it goes. And I suppose I'm lucky with the women in my life. They're very, very strong and they would be very independent. And I said, if I'm ever to give my own kids, lead by example, look, I have nothing to lose.
We're very lucky in our chamber here that we're in, that when you look at these empty seats, it doesn't portray the people who actually fill them, and I suppose the people that they represent. So it can be me as a teacher, maybe in education would be my backing and what I definitely would look at in inclusion. As I look around, I know Emily would sit here, she's got 3 children and a farming background, and a business owner. If you look over, I suppose there are people involved in rural communities, people who are retired, who have a lot of time to give. We have engineers, we have barristers. There are such a diverse business community as well in the background and in the mix that are really adding to, local people just dropping in maybe and saying, oh, can you help me out, or meeting us on the street or out in the community. And all of those viewpoints are really shaping a more rounded community for us here in the council.
And that certainly taught me a lesson that there are other people with other abilities and disabilities, and they have to be considered. And I think probably over the years, as when you hear another view, it's important to hear it, because when you hear it from a person that you're looking at, it does make a difference.
And I think we're seeing a change. The more people interact with politics and with local government, the next generation will come along and say, well, that can be me there, and I'll run, and and people do want change.
The people that we need in this chamber, irrespective of colour, creed, religion, or opinion, certainly we welcome them, and there is a place for you here.
I think good moral judgment is actually more important than anything else. Like, if you are a good, decent person who wants to see things being done right and right by people, then you're suitable for the job.
I think it's very important to say that the office of a county councillor, it's a public office. You're a public representative, so it's open to anybody to get involved, and you too could make a change. You too could become a county councillor, and you too could bring forward your motions to make a change, to help your neighbours, to help your friends, to help your community.